Most people think better sleep starts with what they do in the morning. It doesn't. Sleep quality is largely decided by what happens in the final hour before your brain shuts down. And one hormone quietly controls that process: cortisol. Cortisol is often labeled the stress hormone, but biologically, it's more accurate to think of it as an alertness signal. Its job is to keep your brain vigilant, responsive, and prepared for potential threats during the day. This is useful. At night, it becomes a problem. Because if cortisol remains elevated when you're trying to sleep, your brain interprets the environment as unsafe. And when your brain thinks it's unsafe, it doesn't rest. It watches. Instead of entering deep recovery states, it keeps you in lighter, fragmented sleep. You might stay in bed for 7 or 8 hours, but your brain never fully powers down. That's why you wake up tired even after sleeping enough. Not because you didn't sleep, but because your brain never felt safe enough to go deep. And here's the part most people miss. You don't force your brain to sleep. You signal to it that it's safe to let go. The good news is this: there are specific behaviors that send that safety signal directly to your nervous system. Not slowly, not eventually, but almost immediately. So let's break them down. Because once you understand this, your nights start changing without you trying harder. Habit number 1. Dim your environment earlier than you think. Your brain doesn't understand bedtime the way you do. It understands light. Light is the primary signal that controls your internal clock. Bright light means stay alert. Darkness means power down. So when your room is fully lit at 10 p.m., your brain still thinks it's daytime, and in response, it keeps cortisol slightly elevated. At the same time, it delays melatonin, the hormone that helps you fall asleep. So now your body's getting two conflicting signals. One system is trying to stay awake, the other is trying to sleep. And that internal conflict is what creates restlessness. You feel tired, but you can't switch off. The solution is simple, but most people ignore it. About 60 to 90 minutes before bed, start lowering the light around you. Turn off overhead lights. Use softer, warmer lamps. Reduce screen brightness. Don't wait until you're already in bed to do this, because by then, your brain is already stimulated. Think of it like landing a plane. You don't drop from the sky at the last second, you descend gradually. Your brain needs that same gradual transition into darkness. And when it gets it consistently, cortisol starts to drop on its own. No force required. Habit number 2. Close the open loops in your mind. This one is subtle, but extremely powerful. Your brain is constantly predicting. It scans for problems, unfinished tasks, things you might forget. And when something feels unresolved, it keeps it active, over and over. Not to annoy you, but to protect you. Because from a survival perspective, unfinished equals important, and important things cannot be ignored. So your brain keeps thinking, replaying conversations, planning tomorrow, rewriting things you wish you said differently. And every one of those thoughts adds a little more tension to your system. That tension keeps cortisol elevated because your brain believes there is still something to handle, even if you're lying in bed doing nothing. The fastest way to interrupt this is to externalize your thoughts. Before bed, take 2 or 3 minutes and write down what's on your mind. Tasks, worries, things you don't want to forget. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be organized. Just get it out of your head and onto something physical. Because the moment you do that, your brain shifts. It no longer has to hold everything internally. It knows the information is stored somewhere safe. And that signal alone reduces mental tension. You're not solving everything. You're just telling your brain, you can stop holding this tonight. And that's often enough to let your system relax. Habit number 3. Slow the body to calm the brain. Cortisol is deeply connected to your nervous system. When your body's in fight or flight mode, your brain assumes you need to stay alert. So cortisol stays high. But when your body shifts into a calm state, your brain receives a completely different message: safety. And one of the fastest ways to create that shift is through your breath. Because breathing is one of the few systems in your body you can control directly. And when you slow it down, everything else follows. Here's a simple pattern. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Repeat for 1 to 2 minutes. That longer exhale is the key because it activates your parasympathetic system, the part responsible for rest and recovery. Within minutes, your heart rate drops, your muscles soften, your mind quiets, and cortisol begins to fall. Not because you forced it, but because your body told your brain it's safe to let go. And now here's the bigger picture. Sleep is something you don't control directly. It's something your brain allows. And your brain only allows it when it no longer feels the need to stay alert. So the goal is not to chase sleep. It's to remove the signals that keep you awake. Light, mental tension, and a stimulated body. When you reduce those three, something interesting happens. Sleep stops feeling like a struggle. It starts feeling natural again. You don't lie there trying to force it. You drift. Quietly. Without effort. Because your biology finally agrees with your intention. And that's the shift most people never realize. You don't need more discipline to sleep better. You need better signals. Signals that tell your brain, clearly and consistently, there's nothing left to do. You're safe now. And once your brain believes that, sleep doesn't have to be chased. It arrives on its own.